Let's rev those engines and burn those tires because it's time for Top End Talk with Nitro Allie.
And thank you, Bob Beck, for that introduction. And welcome to Top End Talk with Nitro Allie. I am your host, Nitro Allie, and I am very excited to have my very good friend, Carlos Alemar, who is an extraordinary builder of very nice race cars and is making waves and making headlines with his very special Corvette that has been featured in multiple magazines. Thank you so much, Carlos, for joining me today.
Hi, how you doing, Allie? Thanks for having me.
No, of course. So just kind of get everyone up to par and familiar with you. Go ahead and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. My name's Carlos Alemar. I'm a deputy sheriff with Riverside County Sheriff's Office. I've had a passion for building race cars and just going fast, and since I was a young child, and I've carried it on throughout my adulthood and passed it down to my kids as well.
Awesome. So where exactly, you said you started, a passion at a young child. Where was that, or what exactly happened in your youth to really kind of instigate that love of cars?
Well, it's kind of a sad story that turned me into where I am today. When I was younger, I grew up, single mother and three older sisters. And we used to visit my family in Las Vegas, every Christmas, when we were able to go out there. And one year we're driving back from Las Vegas to California. My mom had a 1971 Ford Maverick and it overheated on the freeway. So we pulled over the side of the road. I didn't know what I was doing. My mom didn't know what they was doing. Neither did my sisters. So what ended up happening is somebody pulled up behind us and offered to help us out. Good deed. He helped out my mother, got the car going, just filled it with water. And then he turns to my mother and says, that'll be $300. Oh. So yeah, so I was very upset. I didn't know how to handle that. So my mom didn't have any money. So he made us follow him to the next gas station where my mom pulled out money. And like I said, single mom, she didn't have much money. So she paid him like $150. And then from there, we were running on fumes just to get home. So from that point forward, I promised to myself that will never, ever happen again. So I started reading books, manuals and stuff like that and took off.
Wow, that is quite the story. And that's terrible that you think somebody's doing a good deed and helping the fellow man, and then they're just trying to capitalize on an unfortunate situation, But look at you now. And now you, like you said, you've kind of passed the generational torch of the love of cars, onto your son. And he's really kind of been your partner on many projects. And I see him working there in the background. Yeah,
he never stops. He's 20 years old. His name's Zach. And he was been wrenching with me since he was 4. He came out to the shop and just hang out with me. I mean, obviously he didn't know what he was doing, but he would help me out, get me the wrong tools. Mm-hmm. And from there, the progression just was tremendous. He never let the passion go. The stuff he did in high school, he went, through an engineering pathway. He knows how to run CAD. He's self-taught on welding, aluminum, stainless, you name it, the kid can do it. And I couldn't be any more prouder.
Awesome. And for the most part, it seems like you guys do everything in-house there in your shop?
Yes. We try and do as much as possible. A few things we don't do powder coating. However, we are buying equipment. We have almost everything we need. We're going to blow up the back of the shop and do another extension. And so hopefully by the mid-year, we'll have our own powder coating for ourselves.
That's great. That's great. So you guys will be completely self-sufficient here very soon. Now, I know in multiple conversations that you and I have had, you've brought up, the very interesting point that it's important to start teaching kids about the science of motorsports, the science of cars, and giving them the opportunity to really engage and be intrigued with cars. Would you mind elaborating on that thought process for everybody?
Absolutely, Allie. I think it's very important for us as pioneers and car enthusiasts to pass the torch. I go, sooner or later they're going to take over. They're going to have their own stuff. The way technology has advanced from when I was younger to today is tremendous. Half the stuff I don't even know. My son's the one that took on that torch. All the CAD design, being able to design something on a computer before he puts it to work in real time allows us to be more precise. It keeps from making mistakes, and then we know what material to buy. in anticipation to complete it from start to finish. It's turned out to be very, very beneficial for our project here because we fund all our own stuff. We have a lot of sponsors that help us, but at the end of the day, we have to provide a funding for ourselves as well, which we don't mind because it keeps it in-house. But when it comes to kids these days, I feel like they're losing touch. Kids don't go outside anymore. I mean, you and I, Ali, when we were younger, we wouldn't come back inside until we got called by our parents. Right. And even then, sometimes we would disappear and we wouldn't even come home till way before it's nighttime. Those pastimes I feel like they're leaving. Everybody's so much involved in electronics, whether they want to play on their phone. I feel like all these kids now are like Zoom friends. They connect via Zoom and I'm like, I don't know, I've never met this person, but you've known them for like 4 years. So I don't know, I just got to kind of bring that back to life.
No, I like that. And I know you had made the statement before that if we really don't bring the next generation into product development and fabrication, then what happens to the car culture and the car community? So really, as somebody that's very knowledgeable as yourself and somebody like me who's more of an enthusiast, if you will, it's our job, I think, to really kind of introduce the youth to this culture that is so wonderful and engaging. And actually, it's going to develop jobs for people. They don't realize all the opportunities that they have available, to them. And then I know you said that your son is so well versed with all different kinds of trades. And I know, times have changed in our schools and, the school administrators, they really don't see the value anymore, in hands-on or practical type classes, from the mechanics to the wood shop, home ec, and these are really fundamental in life and being able to work with your hands and visualizing something and putting those visions, and concepts into a reality like your son does, and taking that creativity and art. And I know they focus on art classes in school, but there's art in design. There's art in painting the cars or wrapping, there's so much more to it that, that people are losing sight of. So I think those things need to be, brought back into the schools. And I know my kids didn't have those types of classes. But how is your son able to kind of get this knowledge? And even with his computer-aided drafting, was that given to him at school?
The engineering pathway was geared towards learning how to do the CAD designing and come up with these, to make an idea come to life. They were able to do it on the computer. They can 3D print it and test it on the car or whatever they want to apply it to. That was very, very beneficial. Another thing that helped my son as well is one of our good friends, Dan Panzoni. He is a machinist. So Zach was doing an internship at his business since he was 14. So Dan showed Zach how to use a lathe, how to use a Haas. There's so many things that Dan actually brought forth to Zach and helped him develop a lot of his knowledge. When he graduated high school, he went to Valley College for their welding program. And while he was there, the instructor looked at Zach and goes, "How do you know how to use all these machines?" "Oh, well, I've been an intern at the silo for many years." So I think Zach only did 2 semesters there where the instructor said, "Hey, unless you're going to go to a corporate job, you're wasting your time and money coming to these classes because you already know everything that I'm going to teach you." So with that being forth, he went out to the job source, to the job market, and he's been working. He worked at BC Moto for a couple of years. He's been working at TurboSmart now, and I couldn't be any prouder. He's still putting his talents to use as well.
No, I love it. And I know one thing that we had talked about is today's generation and culture, they're in this mindset that they can't get their hands dirty. And again, I see your son bouncing back and forth back there, here and there, and I have a feeling his hands are probably a little dirty, with grease or dirt or something, so what is it in your opinion, in today's culture where kids just don't want to get their hands dirty anymore? Is it lack of work ethic? Is it something else?
I think it's lack of information. I feel like a lot of adults these years or parents are not passing down, "Hey, you need to go outside. Let's mow the grass. We have a leak. We need to fix the leak." All my kids know how to do stuff around the house. There's no slouches. Everybody knows how to pull their own, because together as a team, we can get done faster, and then we can start enjoying the fruits of our labor, right? And when they get older, like with my oldest, as he's gotten older, he was at a friend's house. They encountered, oh, I think I could fix that. So he'll get down and in there. And I mean, you don't have to call a plumber. You don't have to call an electrician because he knows how to do all this stuff. And I feel like the knowledge has just gotten less and less as time has gone by. And I feel, I don't know how it's going to come back. My wife's a school teacher. And when I've gone through some of her graduations, you hear so many kids that they strive. They want to be a vlogger, a YouTube sensation. They're like, okay, well, what's going to be your niche? I don't know. It blows me away.
Right. Well, and even though, I mean, that's another thing to kind of touch on a little bit is, as far as getting, fixing things. If I don't know how to fix something, admittedly, I get on YouTube. I find whatever it is for dummies and try to figure it out so I can do it on my own. And they're everywhere. It's on anything, how to hook this up, how to change the oil in your car, how to fix your garbage disposal, whatever it is, normal stuff. But why aren't kids taking that initiative? Are we failing as parents to tell our kids to go, hey, figure it out? If you don't know it, figure it out. Are we missing the ball there?
I think so. I think it comes to the point where parents aren't, like, they'll say, we'll figure it out. Well, I don't want to. And then it stops. No, this is our job as parents to come to goes, no, I need you to get up, put your phone down. Let's go do this. Well, I don't know how to do it. Well, let's do some research. Yeah. But I feel like they don't see it all the way through. They get irritated. They're getting walls with their kids, giving them resistance, and they're not doing their job as a parent. Like for me, if the kids don't want to do something, I need a valid reason why. Right. And if it's just because I don't want to do it, it doesn't fly.
Right. Well, your kids are all about getting dirty. I know that. And, and really you have set a very good example for them. And hopefully other parents are looking and go, hey, I want my kid to do that. And so you laid a really good foundation as a parent for making your kids, successful in life. So kudos to you on that. So let's talk some fun stuff. Let's talk about the race cars. You've got a beautiful race shop. I can see that right behind you with quite a few cars, and we will definitely focus on the Corvette in a minute. So go ahead and share a little bit about your vehicle history, ownership and development history, if you will.
Sure. So I've always had a passion for import cars. I don't think I'll ever get away from that. I used to have a Mitsubishi Eclipse that I would drive every day, and it was not reliable. Always broke down. So my wife had a Honda Civic. That was her car. And I felt like we didn't have any money. So whenever something broke, we found the cheapest and most economical way to put it back together. And it was, at the end of the day, it was just a Band-Aid. As I've gotten older, some cars left, some, we bought other ones. But in our stable right now, I still have the original 1992 Honda Civic hatchback that we've turned into a full-on drag car. Makes 1,000 horsepower, turbocharged, engine swapped, and it's all-wheel drive. My son also has a passion in cars overall, but he too likes imports. For him, we actually, with the help of Brian Slimeball built, he helped import a right-hand drive Civic wagon, which in Japan it's a 96. Here it's a 1991 or 88 through 91. We brought it here. Completely reworked the whole thing. It's got an engine swap, engine base completely done, all-wheel drive, makes upwards of 600 horsepower, and it's such a clean show car. Zach's gone to a few shows, and every time he's gone, for the most part, he wins an award. From there, we had such a good turnout at SEMA when we took the Civic, and then, we had a team meeting. They asked us if we wanted to go to PRI, so we went there. After that, they committed us for another build, which was supposed to be my son's wagon. Turned out to be, they didn't want to do another import, so they wanted a domestic car. And that's where the Corvette comes into play. The Corvette is a 2007 Chevy Corvette. I used to commute back and forth to work. Zach was driving it one day. He hit a patch of water because we were running slicks, and he wrecked it. So when Hastings told us that they didn't want to do an import, I sent them photos of the Corvette, showed them what we were doing with it, had all carbon fiber parts on it, and they were on board. From there, we scrapped the whole motor, pulled it out, fully built it, got rid of the supercharger, and put in a turbocharger. So from there, one day I was watching TV. Zach comes out and he goes, "Hey, Pops, I got to show you something." Go back in his room. He was playing on Forza Horizon with the livery, and that's when he developed a sheriff theme. It was more like a highway patrol, but obviously you and I were not highway patrol. Right. So we're true to the heart, Riverside County, right? So he showed me the rendition, and he goes, "Do you think the sheriff will go for it?" So I go, "Well, it doesn't hurt to ask." So asked for permission. It took like 2 weeks. At the end of the day, they granted me permission to send a proposal. So I had a business proposal already put together. I sent it off on what the car would be used for, how they can benefit from it, and what our plan of attack was to completing it. So that's when we ended up wrapping it like one of our patrol units. It's got full light operational lights and sirens, all the safety equipment you can hope for, and it makes a ton of power.
What kind of horsepower is that thing pulling?
It made 853 to the wheels and about 1,009 to the crank. However, if you look behind me, it's right behind me. LS Fest West, which is taking place on the April 25th through the 28th, will be there, and we're actually going to debut version 2. So the motor's completely apart right now.
Awesome. Now that's exciting. Now, do you ever race it at all, or is it strictly an exhibition piece?
No, I like racing everything I touch. We have yet to race this car. However, Street Legal Dragway in Paris, California, was generous enough to allow us to go take the car out there and just kind of tool around. So there's videos of us, doing a few launches. We're doing donuts, burnouts, you name it. We made a mess over there, but it was a fun and very responsible mess.
Perfect. Now, about how fast would it go?
I would anticipate with the prior setup, it would probably do like mid to high 9s in the quarter mile. Nice. But the new setup's going to be very, very wicked.
Okay. So we don't want to speculate on that quite yet.
Not yet.
Do some testing on that. Now, do you ever let anyone else in the department drive it?
No.
What if the sheriff himself asks to drive it?
Yeah, probably.
Probably let him do it if he can start it and figure it out now.
Right. And it's funny that you say that, because there's a sequence to starting the car. It's got a JDI security system on it, right? And when people ask me, "Hey, I want to drive it," I'll hand them the keys and I go, "If you can start it, you can drive it." No one has yet been able to figure out how to start it.
And they probably get in like, "No problem, I got this." And then you're just sitting there cracking up going, "Yeah, that's not going to happen."
Right.
No, I love it. Now, you mentioned shows like SEMA and PRI, which I had the privilege, of meeting you in person at. What is your favorite part about participating in those shows?
The networking. You network with existing sponsors. You build lifelong friendships. It's not all about the show. We'll go to the show. We'll talk business. We'll chop it up. We'll talk about past builds, how things are going, where the future's headed. And then after the show's over, we'll meet for dinner, drinks, have a good time, and just talk about our families. What I really love about motorsports is that, like, a lot of stuff, you go, you do your job. Once that job's done, you don't know anything about the person. But when it comes to motorsport, I feel like we build lifelong friendships. Mm-hmm. And by building lifelong friendships, it makes it easier to pass information down, share knowledge. Hey, I don't know the answer to that, but hey, one of my sponsors does. Let me make a phone call.
Right.
And I think we help each other out.
I love that. Now, with attending those types of shows and car shows in general, what is the number one question you get asked?
I think you hit it. It's, can I drive it?
Can I drive it?
Yeah.
Or
can I?
Do you allow kids to sit in the car? And
Absolutely. The car is set up that there's nothing in there that can be touched without, well, let me see how I can fit. Any kid can get in the car and touch any button they want, and it's not going to screw anything up, and it's not going to risk their safety, because there's so many safety parameters in place that they can do whatever they want. So we do a lot of community stuff. We've gone to high schools, talk shop with the kids, and I let them sit in it at their will.
No, I love that. And I think what you're doing, I know we've discussed this before, is really kind of a twofold benefit because you're introducing children and the local community to racing. And you're also kind of bridging that gap, if you will, between law enforcement and the public, showing that you're human, you're just average Joe like everybody else. You have similar hobbies as everybody else. You like to go fast, and not everything is cops and robbers, so to speak, when it comes to law enforcement. It's let's build a relationship based on a common interest, which is motorsports. You're showing that we can all play in the same sandbox. Doesn't matter, where we come from. And with that, you essentially are making the community much stronger. So I think what you're doing, is really spectacular, not only for the racing community and the law enforcement community, but you're just doing so much good just in general, from just a human standpoint. So I really do appreciate that. Obviously being on both sides, loving, for me being pro law enforcement and of course, in the motorsports. But so what do you have any upcoming appearances at any schools or car shows here in the very near future?
Yeah, so we're gonna be at Ellis Fest West, the 25th through the 28th, for sure. After that, we've already been asked to go to a God, I can't think of the name. There's a rod run that's taking place in Temecula.
The Temecula rod run.
Yes, I should be there with the Corvette. I'm still waiting for everything to flatten out and the invitation to get secured. Then we also have a national night out, which is department wide. I'm based out of Paris, but what I will say is our Hooper Valley station already tapped me for that day. Mm-hmm. So it happened simultaneous across the department. So for national night out, I will be at Hooper Valley for theirs. I get invited to stuff all the time. It's hard to pinpoint any because they're always trickling in, a lot of requests, and some we can make, some we cannot, unfortunately, but we always try to hit as many as we can.
Awesome. So now being a deputy sheriff, and, what are your thoughts on the recent track closures and how those are going to affect the street racing fatalities?
I think it's very, very unfortunate. The motorsport's never going to go away. People are good. Kids get behind the wheel and they want to go fast. You have that adrenaline spike. What's unfortunate is they have no avenue to release, that need for speed, that adrenaline that they seek. So they turn to the local streets, the local highways. And I get it. A lot of people say, well, I'm full control of my car. Yeah, what you're not in control of is the stuff around you.
Right.
The mom driving on the fast lane sees you coming 50 miles faster than what she's driving. And her reaction may be, let me get out of the way because I don't want to get hit. You don't know what she's thinking. She doesn't know what you're thinking. And the chances that it's going to be exactly what it needs to be in order for that pass to happen, the chances are very low. And that's where all these traffic collisions occur, or these kids that they get into a heavy traffic spot. And rather than slow down and be like, hey, this is stupid, I'm not going to do it anymore, they try and thread the needle and they weave in and out of traffic. And when you're going that fast, it doesn't take much to lose control of the vehicle, no matter how good of a driver you are. If you have a track, it's controlled. It's you, the person next to you, if you're drag racing. If you're doing the road race, it's you and however many they allow for that field. But everyone there has safety equipment. They know what they're doing. There's a path already laid out, and it's whoever can complete it the quickest and most efficient is the one that usually wins the race. When it comes to drag racing, road racing, drifting, you name it. A controlled environment's way better, and you get bragging rights because people are filming. It builds your stock because hey, this guy is winning event after event after event. We need to take a look at him or her. So when it comes to that, you start getting notoriety. Mm-hmm. With these people, and the businesses start taking notice. If I see something that's solid and I notice that, hey, he goes through tires like crazy, I'm going to make a connection with that person, with the company, in hopes that maybe they can build a relationship. It's a win-win for everybody.
So is there anything here in Riverside County, any events, graduations, or anything similar right now? Or have you heard any rumors that they might be bringing something like that to the table?
So, Street Legal Dragway in Paris off of Ramona Expressway, they offer a 16th of a mile. And I get it. People be like, well, what are you going to do in the 16th of a mile? Well, that's when it really boils down to how good of a driver are you? Because races are won at the starting line, and if there's no room to catch the person or correct your mistake, you're going to have to be perfect every single time. I myself love quarter mile drag racing, but I still will go to the 16th because if I can perfect my short track, when I go to Las Vegas or Firebird Speedway or Texas, any of the the venues that are still open for a quarter mile, I know my short track game is going to be dialed in. I have heard rumors that even though California Speedway was torn down, the grandstands are still there. There's still a stretch there, and there is rumor that they're going to bring an 8th mile there.
Oh.
So, but I haven't heard any traction or anything like that. I flew past there the other day because we were in Texas last weekend, and it's still there. There's warehouses all around it, but it's still there. So that gives me hope that what they planned on doing is actually going to take fruition.
Okay. No, that's good to know. And I'm hoping when this actually airs and people hear that maybe a couple people get on the phone and kind of maybe do some digging and see what's going on.
Right.
One question I kind of wanted to ask you, again, this is kind of putting on your law enforcement hat a little bit and some of the experience that you've seen on the streets are electric vehicles. And I know a lot of parents, they buy them, they're nice vehicles. They buy them for their kids because they can basically drive themselves. They have every safety feature imaginable, but are kids taking advantage of that too much? And what do parents need to know about these vehicles as far as safety and their speed, how fast these things go? I mean, what warnings are just, hey guys, think about this before you turn the keys, if you will, over to your children?
Right. Well, I can tell you, me personally, and I'll pass it down to my kids, I will never in a million years trust a car to drive for me. No matter how much technology or intel you put into that vehicle or the computer, it doesn't account for human error, and I'll never do it. As far as parents buying EVs for their kids, saying that, hey, they're safer, they've got all this. I love the fact that they have cameras all around. Because if something does happen, there's going to be playback and you can figure out what really took place, right? But what parents don't realize is these cars are super, super quick. I mean, you're taking a car from the factory that can run low 10s in a quarter mile. They may not have the top end speed that a petrol car would have. It'll probably come in the future, but their short track, tremendous, especially the Teslas like the Plaid, any of the Teslas with the dual motors. They're so quick. And when you're in a petrol car and you're making a simple lane change, you just want to get around somebody or whatever the case may be, you control the quickness of that. And now you take that and do triple the power by just tapping on the gas. It raises some concerns. It raises some concerns that there's going to be a lot more traffic accidents, and that's my take on that.
Right. Well, and then I've seen various stories out there, and again, just your individual opinion, not necessarily the opinion of your department that you work for, But should these get in an accident, let's say, my average Joe driver, my mom mobile that I call it, I drive every day. If I get in an accident, and there's a little fire, I can typically get out and they can extinguish it. What do families and owners of these electric vehicles not understand? Should they get in a traffic collision and a fire starts? Kind of go into that a little bit.
Okay. So I have spoken with some fire captains when we're at a call for service. And I did ask that question because I was curious about it. So what I was told, and you can find this online, there's multiple articles over it, is fire department doesn't put out fires. They take the heat out of whatever object is burning. What I was told is a vehicle fire, a regular gas-powered vehicle fire takes anywhere from 400 to 500 gallons of water to take the heat out of it. Once the heat's out of it, it'll just, smolder for a while, and then they can do whatever they can, right? When it comes to EV fires, because there's a bunch of little batteries, linked together inside, what happens is the fire department doesn't even try to put them out, because they said it takes anywhere from 4 to 500,000 gallons of water to take the heat out. And what ends up happening is they take the heat out of it and they think it's done. Any little friction will reignite those lithium batteries and it continues. So what the fire department does now is they just make sure there's people are out, they clear the area, and they let it burn. So my advice to anybody that drives an electric vehicle, if there's a fire, get out of the car. Get out of the car. Don't go back for anything. Just get away from it and just let it go. That's why we have insurance.
Right. Well, let me ask you this then, because, and maybe my understanding is wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of times, let's say you're in a traffic accident, in one of those electric vehicles, and it fries the electrical system. How do you get out? Because sometimes you can. It's, those locks, and then what?
I have not encountered that. I have to say there has to be some kind of way to get out of it. Does a user know? Likely not. Some will, because they'll figure everything out. But if they're like me, where you really never know what every single feature in your car does. Case in point, my Corvette. It's gas powered, but to open and close the door, it's all electronic. It's a push button. So if it ever becomes disabled, right next to the driver and passenger seat, there's a lever that you pull up, and it's a manual release. I had no idea it was there until having a conversation with a friend. And then the question got brought up, well, what do you do if the power goes out? I don't know. And then started researching it more. And so there's that release for the doors, and then there's one in the trunk. So if you ever lock your keys out of it, to get into a Corvette, very difficult. You have to take out, underneath on the bottom, you take out the license plate. There's another plug that comes out, and then you can access as a keyhole to put the key in, open it, it'll open the trunk. Then you have to climb in the car to access that lever to open the door.
Got it.
But it's not easy.
Yeah, but I guess just kind of comes down to knowing your vehicle, knowing all those safety features, and having, conversations, especially, as we're dealing with children. Hey, if this situation happens, do this, this, and this. It's not just get in, drive, and go, because you just don't know. So anyway, so we've talked about the Corvette, but you also have the 2016 Charger that you showcased at PRI, this past year. Can you share a little bit about that car, which I see? I believe that's the one right behind me. Yep. Yeah,
that's right there. So we needed a car for last year, and Hastings commissioned us again. So it was actually my son's idea. He wanted to do the Charger. So we did a full wide body kit on it. We went with 20-inch by 11-inch wide wheels on front and back. Willwood gave us front and rear brakes. We got all that handled. And the goal behind it was we wanted to make it look like a stock Hellcat or a 392, something to that effect. And we succeeded. However, we went one further. So when you pop the hood, it has a 5.7 V8. It's just an RT, and that's what we named the car, just an RT. If you start looking closely, right off the intake is a hard aluminum pipe with a blow-off valve, and then it disappears. So if you really want to know what it really has, you have to start digging inside, look through the front. You can see an intercooler nestled behind the front bumper, and unless you know what you're looking for, you think it's just a radiator. Follow that. If you look behind the front wheels on both sides, you're going to see two wastegates. You climb underneath the car, you'll see twin turbos. And that's where it all came together.
Awesome. And that was kind of your son's special idea to do, wasn't it?
It was all his vision. And I let him run with it. He picked the color of the car, the livery that we chose. I mean, that was pretty much all him.
Now, that was a sexy car, or is a sexy car. Let me just say, I loved seeing that there. And you guys just did a phenomenal job on that. And again, I love the fact that it's a family effort. on all the vehicles. And, and it seems that, just based on our conversations, everything related to motorsports is a family affair for you guys. And so let's talk about your beautiful wife for a minute, who I had the pleasure of meeting as well at PRI. And, a little birdie told me that, she and you together might have a special project that you're working on right now.
Yeah, actually we do. So I'm very, very fortunate. My wife loves cars. She supports what we do, and she gets out here and she gets dirty. If we're all super busy, she'll go get parts for us. If I have a list of stuff to do, she'll go through like, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that. And she'll take care of it. When her and I first met, she had a 1989 Bronco. She's always wanted another one. So with all the stuff that we've done an import, we've done a domestic, we did a touring car with the Charger. We haven't done an off-road vehicle. So started talking with her, my son, everybody put in their input. And this year for PRI, we're building a 1988 Ford Bronco. Now, full long travel suspension. And the way we're doing, the theme behind that is going to be Ford, old school Ford with the modern twist. So everything inside is going to be digital. It's going to have a back half cage. The body kit that we're putting on is from Fiberwork. It's going to be based off a Ford Raptor Gen 2. So it completely changed the look on it. And the power plant's probably going to upset a few people, because it is a Ford. But we're going to put a Chevy in it. So it'll have a Chevy LS. They're super easy to work on. There's parts available for from everybody. But I won't get too deep into what the motor is going to have. You'll have to tune into PRI to see that one.
Awesome. I mean, can you give us a hint as to how much horsepower that thing will be packing?
On this, because it's going to be her daily driver, it'll probably have around 450 for everyday use.
Okay.
But it'll be built to withstand 1,200 horsepower.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I'm excited for you. I'm excited to see it this year. Definitely looking forward to that. Now, have you named any of your cars? Yeah,
actually we have. So let's see. My drag Civic, the name for that one is Maya. And the reason why it was named Maya in the beginning is because it was a bee. Maya the bee cartoon when I was growing up. Since then, we've renamed it and we got custom plates that said Lil GSR, which is just the engine type. It's very little compact and it packs a big punch. The Corvette, the Sheriff Corvette, that one is not a ZR1 because it's a Z51 model base and it's not a ZR1. The ZR1's supercharged. It's got a freaking carbon fiber body, aluminum frame, and it's supposed to be the biggest and baddest dog out there. Personally, I think this is the biggest bad dog out there.
I love it.
If I see a ZR1, I'm not going to be afraid of it because it's going to take a lot of power out of them to handle this one. So, the Charger is just an RT because, people will buy these cars like, oh, you just got an RT. I got a 392. I have a Hellcat. That's cool. They can think all they want because underneath the car is a lot more.
Right.
So, and then the Bronco hasn't been named yet.
Okay. In time. Your wife will come up with a good name when she's feeling it, I'm sure.
Yes.
Awesome. Now, I mean, obviously you've been involved in racing and motorsports for a long time. What is the most memorable or greatest crap kind of moment that you've ever had when it comes to racing?
Think about that one. I'd have to say it was 2013 when I was racing at Bakersfield with my Civic. Back then it was front wheel drive, making 740 horsepower to the wheels. And we were staging, we take off, got a perfect run, and I couldn't get it in third gear. So I misshifted, it wouldn't go in. I finally forced it in there. The car went nuts, and I ended up running a 954 at 145 in the quarter mile. And when I let off the throttle, it was blowing white smoke out the car. What ended up happening is I ended up punching through one of the piston's walls.
Oh,
so
shoot.
That was done. So in my mind, it was like a fun, oh crap, holy smokes moment because it was a solid pass, had moments. I didn't know if I was going to be able to get in gear. And then at the end of the track, when the smoke came out, it's like, crap, the motor's toast.
Right.
But then when I got back and I pulled my time slip and saw the time, I was like, that was set for an 8-second pass. So it'll get there sooner or later.
Awesome. Now you're doing so much, for the community and for motorsports, not only as a deputy sheriff, but in your off time. And I know you have some amazing sponsors, which we'll get to in a minute, but I'm sure there are things that you need, to reach your goals and make, everything that you're doing a little bit, easier, other than time and money, which we all need.
Right.
What types of products or sponsorship are you looking for that would be beneficial to you?
Right now, what would be beneficial for us would be tooling for the shop. So we can do a really good parts wash, something like that. But mainly safety equipment.
Okay.
It's getting to the point where all the cars are starting to come together and we're going to have all the vehicles ready to hit the track. With that being said, my helmet's old. It needs to be recertified. I'm way past a fire jacket, so now I'm going to start looking into the gloves, the shoes, the full suit, items like that, fire suppression. That's where we're going to be headed to next.
Okay. And I know you're always very grateful, to your current sponsors. And who would you like to give a thank you to today?
Oh man, that list is very long. I hope you have a moment.
Hey, you know what? They deserve the gratitude. They are what make it possible. So I have got as much time as you need.
Well, I appreciate that, Allie. So shout out to my sponsors for everything that you guys have done and continue to do for us with past builds and jumping on board and continue with new builds. I want to give a shout out to BC Moto, Scat Performance Crankshafts, Turbo Smart, CP Carrillo, ARP, MPH, Albert Munoz, Action Clutch, Nippon Racing, Jesse Martinez, Andy at RC, Twisted Images, Rico, Petter Suspension, Weld Wheels, Performance Tubing Bending, Toyo Tires, Anti-Gravity, Caritas Tires, Willwood Brakes, JDI, which does our safety stuff for our ignition, Holly, FCS Race, Automotive K&G, K&D Stefan, Puro Racing Oils, and AAM Performance Products.
Awesome. So everybody just remember to support those brands and companies that are supporting, the motorsports culture. They're supporting law enforcement. They're supporting everyone all the way around. Now, where can people find you on social media if they want to follow everything that you're doing?
Oh, so my Instagram handle is Los, LOS, period, built, BUILT, period, 00. And my son's, it's built, period, by, period, Zach, CACH.
And is there an email address that you'd like to provide in case someone wants to send you an email for possible sponsorship opportunities?
Sure. It's my first name, Carlos, CARLOS, period, my last name, Alemar, ALEMAR, @att.net.
Perfect. Now, I always try to throw a kind of a silly question out there to everybody, just something funny. Is there anything weird, quirky, funny, goofy, something silly about you that you'd be comfortable sharing with everybody so they can get to know you a little better?
Oh, sure. I'm an open book. Nothing embarrasses me. I actually like to grate cheese. As quirky as that sounds.
I like it. What kind of cheese do you like? Is there a specific kind or?
No, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I just shred it.
Just shred it. So do you like the rotary kind, or is it the one where you grate your knuckles?
The old school knuckle one.
Oh gosh. Yeah. I've got many memories of that.
Till this day, I have yet to hit my knuckles on it.
Oh, okay. Well, I buy the pre-shredded just for that reason, but that is kind of cool. I like that. Well, thank you, Carlos, so much for spending time with me today. And thank you for all you do for, the motorsports community and for, keeping our local community safe. And again, thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely, Allie. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely my pleasure. And thank you all for joining us today on Top End Talk with Nitro Allie. Remember to go out and support your local drag strip or racetrack. Bring a friend and keep drag racing alive. God bless you. God bless America, our military and first responders. And I'll see you next time on the Top End. Good night, everybody.